Hi, I'm Bella. I work on the art, subculture, and LGBTQ+ history sale here at Swann Galleries, and these are a few of my favorite things in the upcoming auction. So right next to me here is a phenomenal enamel on board painting by Marieke Koger. Marieke was a founding member of The Fool, which was a Dutch art collective known predominantly for their psychedelic work and known most famously for their work with the Beatles, of which they did plenty. Most notably, The Fool collective worked on John Lennon's piano, George Harrison's minicar, painting incredible psychedelic murals, and they painted a 3-story mural outside of the Apple Boutique in London, the store founded by the Beatles. They also did quite a bit of work with the Beatles in their costuming and the visual direction for Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, including an album cover that they designed that was never used. So this work was executed in 1972 and is called Major Arcanum. It depicts the 22 major arcana in the tarot deck, with sort of these beautiful visuals all stacked into this psychedelic world. This work is great because I think her use of space is really interesting. The way the lines sort of pull you up is really delightful. This is a really exciting piece to present for auction because Marieke's work never really comes up for sale. For those who are interested in work relating to spirituality or tarot enthusiasts, a really incredible piece of art and design and music history all at once in this beautiful, vibrant, psychedelic package. So the piece next to me here is a really, really exciting piece of anti-Vietnam War protest material. We often see posters and flyers, but it's very exciting to come across an original piece of work, specifically a piece of clothing. This is a shirt that was created by a Minnesota student, created in 1970 in the wake of the Kent State shootings, which is why you see Ohio added to the bottom in addition to the other places that the wearer is trying to call their attention to. There was a big strike in Minnesota by students. It was one of the hotbeds of student activism in the country, and this student was a leader in those protests and was very involved in the political community of the University of Minnesota. This shirt is a Penny's Towncraft button-down long-sleeve t-shirt at a time when students were wearing formal clothing to school, generally speaking, and the Penny's Towncraft shirt was the uniform. One of the alterations that the wearer makes to the shirt that makes it so interesting is that he cut off the collar of the shirt and made it sort of an Eastern-styled collar, which is not only a subversive act against the sort of buttoned-up political economy of the United States, it's also a nod to the cultures that the United States is interfering within, and a sort of way for him to communicate that he is not complacent with the current system. The graphic on the sleeve features a skeletonized version of Uncle Sam with the text, "Who's next for Uncle Death?" On the back of the shirt is the same text as we see on the front, "Strike to end the killing in Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, and Ohio." But this time the artist and wearer has included a power fist, a really valuable and important symbol of intersectionality, of protest, that was utilized across a number of activist movements in the 60s and 70s. I think this is the activist communicating his solidarity with a number of other movements, which we can actually see through another lot that we have in the sale. This activist's folder of protest material, flyers, both that he created, that he collected and distributed for a number of different student organizations on campus. This shirt is really special. It is incredibly personal. It was worn by the activist. It was created by him with passion and intensity and a desire for change, and worn in these protests that he was participating in. He was really heavily involved in the movements and was a notable name in the community. So one of my favorite parts about working with ephemera is that often it is the most unassuming pieces that are the most exciting. If you know, you know. This is a flyer for a lecture panel discussion at the University Lutheran Church in Cambridge, Massachusetts. The title alone is enough to pique one's interest. The lecture was called "The Religious Significance of LSD." The panel featured a number of notable scientists and professors at institutions you may recognize like MIT, Harvard, and Wellesley. One of the most exciting and significant parts of this flyer is that one of the speakers was Dr. Richard Alpert. His name may not ring a bell unless you're incredibly familiar with psychedelic history, but if it doesn't, perhaps Ram Dass does. This lecture was given in 1966, which is a year before Dr. Richard Alpert changed his name to Ram Dass and became the sort of cult psychedelic spiritual figure to the American hippie movement. Another one of my favorite little details is the stamp in the corner that says that this was approved by the ministry, so this was happening above board. This was not a covert lecture. Often discussions of psychedelics are paired with a very specific type of imagery and a very specific type of user, but I think that this piece paints a different perspective, and it shows the push in the beginnings of the discovery of LSD for a sort of legitimized view of it that integrates spirituality with the church and with medicine in a way that's maybe more mainstream than it later became. This work from the very short-lived Danceteria on West 37th Street. Most of what we have to offer and what we see on the market is from the iconic second location at West 21st Street because it existed for so much longer, and that is where Danceteria truly gained its notoriety. But seeing a piece from the first rendition of the club is very rare. This specific poster was advertising the Artists and Models Ball, which was a fundraiser event hosted in alignment with Chelsea Arts Week. The event was hosted by Brant Kingman and Anne Magnuson and brought a lot of notable artists to the venue. Danceteria fans and attendees may know that the first location closed only after less than a year because they were raided by the government for not having a liquor license. And though club owner Jim Forat argues that they were promised all was good with the way that they were doing business, the government disagreed. One of the hosts of the event, Brant Kingman, argues that the increased publicity through this event and the names that were a part of it and the integration into Chelsea Art Week was what caused its notoriety and what caused it to get shut down. If you are a fan of nightlife history, of queer culture, downtown New York, there is something for everyone. One of my favorite fine art pieces in the sale is this collection of serigraph screen prints by Gordon Motta Clark. This project is called Wallspaper, and it was executed in 1972. Motta Clark's work engages a lot with architecture and space and change. It's often quite political, even though it doesn't always look as such. So this project specifically started as a series of black and white photographs. Motta Clark traveled around New York, went to the Bronx and the Lower East Side, and took pictures of the dilapidated tenement buildings and housing projects there, some that were under construction, some that had just been left to wither away. And he took really beautiful photos of the walls of these spaces in all of their various states of decomposition. He ends up taking the photos and increasing the contrast, abstracting them a bit, and printing them in these beautiful, beautiful colors that are not necessarily true to life, but really do a great job of abstracting the image. And he prints them on this newsprint here. What's interesting about this is you maybe can't tell exactly what it is on the first glance, but if you get closer to it, you can see the shape of the bricks, you can see the fire escapes and the window panes and the trees, and I think that makes it really special. This work was presented one time at the gallery space 112 Green Street, where Motta Clark took these screen prints and he pasted them up on the wall in a large grid formation, effectively wallpapering this wall with photos of the walls of dilapidated buildings, making a really interesting commentary on the way we treat space in this sort of stages of decomposition and rebuilding. Another part of Motta Clark's installation was bundling up the newsprints on the gallery floor and inviting participants to take them home. And this is a collection of some of those prints.